Hello, my name is Rupert Taylor and welcome back to my WFH bar chat. So this is a special series I'm doing whilst we're all working from home and just looking at 3 or 4 or a few tips each week over a 3 or 4 minute a video or bar chat that you may find useful, and hopefully you can will align with some of the challenges that you're going through at the moment. So when we're hit with a crisis like this, it doesn't happen very often, fortunately. And I've only had one of these in my career, and I've been working for nearly 40 years. So it's quite interesting just to see how it all evolves. And you know what? There are going to be silver linings that come from this. It is forcing us to work in a different way for a period. And whilst it may be uncomfortable, it's forcing us to actually experience different ways of working. And that may well be, there will be things that we can take with us into the world beyond COVID-19 that I think will be improvements. They will be better. They could be, improved ways of doing things. Never has it been more important for the PMO to forget about the mechanics of the PMO, but focus on the outcomes that the PMO drives, because the mechanics are irrelevant in this situation. All that matters is that everything you do, every single output you give back to the business out of the PMO over the next 2 or 3 weeks has got to add value to the business's current objectives, which are very different to what they were necessarily 2 or 3 weeks ago. So what I want to talk about in this bar chat is really about the instant crisis impact assessments. So you've got crisis hits. All of a sudden, within hours, the business needs to take big decisions, hours, possibly days, but certainly not the long term. The business needs to take some big decisions. What are the programs that we've currently got in the portfolio that we need to stop? Which are the programs we need to hold, and which are the programs we need to continue with? And are there COVID-19 or new programs that we need to add onto the portfolio list? So in order to do that, you sort of need to have some method of assessing the impact of the different programs in the portfolio to stimulate the right conversation in order to take those key decisions, or have those key decisions taken by the leadership team in the business. Because all of a sudden budgets have just been blown out of the water. There may be furloughing or different things that essentially reduce your access to resources. All sorts of things are happening all at the same time and accelerated beyond belief. So let's have a little look. These are the sort of things that I'm looking at so when it comes to instant impact. First thing, and most important thing for me is you, as the PMO or the portfolio office, you go straight to the very, very top of the business and you say to them, in order to take our priority decisions, what is your criteria? And you get that steer from the CEO, the COO. You need that steer. What are the key decision points or drivers that will determine whether we stop, hold, or continue and create a new projects? Get that steer from the very top of the business extremely early on, really early, because that helps. Otherwise, you could easily end up doing a whole load of impact assessment work that doesn't really make any difference, which is no good. And base one, very quickly, with that criteria from the top of the business, you should be able to filter out 60-70% of the programs and present to the leadership based on the following criteria. These 60-70% of the programs that we've currently got don't match that criteria, and therefore, as a minimum, they should either be stopped or completely stopped and cancelled or put on hold. So that should should enable you to very quickly come up with a priced list. Then you need to create the next set of criteria and be able to do a sort of proper impact assessment, but in a very light way, because your chances are you're going to be told by the CEO or the COO, I want a meeting tomorrow where we look at the next 30 programs and decide which ones we put on hold, stop, or which one, whether we create any new ones. So the impact assessment then does need to be done, but it needs to be short and it needs to be credible. So you can't go in and do a 2-week or 1-week impact assessment. We're going to be talking about a very, very brief and sort of credible impact assessment that allows you to play back to the leadership team based on the following. This is where the program is currently. This is the sort of thing you might find useful for that. It's just having a picture of your portfolio and when things are happening by quarter. So you just might find it useful to have that picture ready. The other thing I would say in this situation is having a picture of where they are in the life cycle. So if you've got some agile stages and you are driving some agile programs, just have that visibility of which buckets they are in. If you've got waterfall programs, have the visibility of which stage, because it may be that the ones that are in the early stages you can hold more easily, and just have it easily presentable so that you can present that the decision making criteria. The other thing you may want to look at is by risk. So you can maybe start to filter out and say, which are the programs that we've currently got that have got the highest level of risk, and where are we with those risks? That might help you also filter out more, because the ones with the highest risk and the highest risk to either benefit this year or to operational impact, whatever it might be, you may be able to use that type of picture to gain to feed into the discussion. And then, of course, the resources. If we look at the current scenario, if we were to have 30% of the workforce go out on and be furloughed, or you had a bunch of voluntary redundancies or whatever it might be, if you can fairly quickly show that picture of capacity versus demand by role, then that may help you in your in your decision-making criteria. But my summary would be keep those instant impact assessments need to be simple. The more simple they are, the chances are the more credible they will be. The criteria needs to be set from the top. So be brave, go straight to the top and say, I need some decision-making criteria to support the governance meeting that's going to happen in order to prioritize those programs, and prepare information that is relatively easy to take through at one of those prioritization meetings to inform and support the discussion. Stay safe and good luck with it.
Thank you for coming to the bar chat today. It's been great to have you in the bar, and I hope you've enjoyed the topic we've been talking about. Now, if there's anything in this topic, if there's anything in this bar chat that's particularly resonated with you, or there's a challenge that you're facing with your portfolio or your program or your stakeholders or whatever it might be, then one of the things that I'm offering is a free private bar function. So you can either come into our very own bar and come and be a part of it, and I promise you there'll be a drink waiting here for you, or I'll come to you, or we'll have a phone call, and we can maybe kick the tires on over a bar chat on a challenge that you're facing internally with your program, portfolio, or whatever. If you want to do that, please take me up on the offer. I don't expect anything in return, and I really genuinely don't. You're very welcome to just click the link in the post on LinkedIn. There's a link in there. Connect and register, and we will be in touch to sort a private bar function out. Come and see me in the bar.